And if you're up for more magical elements and one-man army fights, this is the year Madara wrecked the Shinobi Alliance.
Oh, that's the best fight! Madara versus Shinobi Alliance. That was so dope.
But
hey, do you ever wish sometimes that you can just be like an anime character, or you lived in like an anime world, or you just were like a superhero or a supervillain? Do you ever wish that sometimes? I'm about to let you know something, bro. If you wish that, even as a kid, you're always gonna wish that for the rest of your life. I still wish that to this day.
Got all the vibes. Yeah, I got all the vibes. I can't let you run. A nigga can't let you run. This rock star life got me on another high. It's fucking with my mind. All these drugs on my mind. I got all the vibes. Yeah, I got all the vibes. I can't let you run. A nigga can't let you run. This rock star life got me on another high. It's fucking with my mind. All these drugs on my mind. Getting to the
Good, Dark Knight gang in this thing, gang. Hey, bro, like I said, I'm dropping 4 reactions, 1 more after this. This video right here is titled Best Anime Fights of Each Year from 2011 to 2021. Now, this is a 20-minute video, so this is what I'm going to do, bro. I'm going to cut it into 2 parts. Part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow. So, since this is from 2011 to 2021, I'm going to do 2011 to 2016 right now, and then tomorrow, I'm going to do 2017 to 2021. That's how I'm going to cut it up. But yeah, man, we're about to see some best anime fights for each year. I am looking for a new anime. I know I need to continue to finish One Piece. I'm taking another break. I already finished Parasite. It only took me like 2 or 3 days. Parasite was a pretty cool anime. It was like 18 episodes. It was pretty good. But now I'm looking for another anime to watch. Something that's not too long, you feel me? Because I got to hop back into One Piece soon. So I'm looking for another anime that's maybe only like 2 or 3 seasons long. But anyway, let's hop into this video. Shout out to the gang. This should be a great video. Y'all know I'm an anime fan. It is what it is. But let's hop into this video. Shout out to my boy, VinnyTube. I'm in the clouds. I'm not hella faded. I'm not on Mars. But I'm in the clouds. I feel good. Let's hop into this video. Yeah. Let's go.
as we close the book on a decade of anime action, fights herald the dawn of a new era. 2011 for me will always be known as the year of Steins Gate and Madoka Magica, as I mentioned in the previous video. The latter in particular is a perpetual favourite of mine, and the battle between Homura and Walpurgis Night feels like a strong contender in terms of its narrative importance and how over the top it was. In the previous video, the best action anime came down to Fate Zero and Hunter x Hunter, and they've got their awesome fights too. However, I'd like to talk about how 2011 sets the bookends for some legacy series that were pushing strong from the decade prior. Alucard finally had his much-awaited showdown with Anderson, and it's every bit as intense and violent as we expect something from Hellsing to be. Still, if we look at legacy and narrative importance, I think that few can beat out my pick for the year: Ichigo versus Aizen.
Oh, it was a long time. God, everybody loves. So he put this before Bleach. He put this before a Hunter x Hunter. You know what? If in 2011, this is when this fight first happened, then I understand, because everybody always talks about this.
But full power Ichigo and Aizen in his nth evolution collided in a clash that marked the end of an era, one of the most beloved shonen of the 2000s. It's also a notable fight in that it functions more as a flex for Ichigo, who surpassed whatever evolution Aizen could have. For the first time, the smug villain finally found a foe beyond his comprehension after spending literal months just trouncing everything thrown at him. Yeah, I'm aware that Bleach as an anime continued past this arc, but for a lot of fans, that was really it. This was the final battle and climax that they'd all been waiting for, and we finally saw Aizen defeated after almost a decade.
And Aizen is known as one of the best anime villains of all time.
12. Remember when I mentioned Fate Zero a while ago? Well, the show ran all the way to 2012 for your information, and that's why my personal favourite fight from the series qualifies for 2012 and will be taking the crown. Ryder versus Gilgamesh? No, I personally find myself leaning more towards Kiritsugu versus Kirei. What I like about this fight is the fact that it's not about the spectacle. It's not about the huge armies or the walls of swords that you relate to the Fate series. It's how down and dirty the two got, and I feel like it encapsulates what sets Fate Zero apart compared to the rest of the franchise.
I'm not gonna cap, bro. Alright. So before I started Parasite, and a few months ago, I did watch like maybe 6 episodes of Fate Zero, and it intrigued me, bro. It looks so dope.
2012
so you already
also
know,
when
Fate
another
Zero's on my
epic
radar.
fight Gon versus Hisoka took place.
Oh, yeah, for
It's one of
sure.
the best underdog fights out there in anime, and I hope that you'll take a look at it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hunter x Hunter and this fight in general. I feel like in order to really enjoy
I don't
this
have
fight,
a lot of honorable mentions off the top of my
you
head
have
for
to
this
watch
year,
the
honestly.
series, though.
This year has a lot of good action shows, but few really had that level of oomph that made them stand out. Since 2012's when the SAO craze hit town, I guess we can consider the Gleam Eyes fight here. It is pretty damn iconic after all. 2013. We all know that 2013 is Attack on Titan's year. In terms of sheer influence, none of the shows this year can compare to it. The female Titan arc is an emotional roller coaster, and the Eren versus female Titan fight was a great way to cap off the series.
and that fight was amazing.
Psycho Pass also gave us Golgami versus Makishima. It's such an amazingly choreographed battle, and it would be a shame not to give it the spotlight here. Whereas Ippo versus Sawamura didn't have quite that same amount of choreography, it more than makes up for it with intensity and hype. And if you're up for more magical elements and one-man army fights, this is the year Madara wrecked the Shinobi Alliance.
Oh, that's the best fight! Madara versus Shinobi Alliance. That was so dope.
But none of those are my winners for this year.
Nah,
That's
what?
because this is the year where Madoka Rebellion came out, and along with it came a fight that at the time pushed the limits of action sequences in an
never
anime
heard of
feature
this, I
film
don't
production. Yes, I'm talking about Homura versus Mami. The famed gunfight that
looks
people still
fire.
remember Rebellion for almost a decade later.
Hey, y'all want to react to this?
Cinematography helped push a full fight of momentum shifts into legendary status, and the moment I saw this fight, it was going to make it to one of these lists someday. 2014. If you remember my video on action anime, you'd know that 2014 is also quite the busy year for action anime. Lots of big hitters spread all around the year, giving us a healthy selection. Starting off, we have Noragami's Final Battle, which feels like a modern take on Rurouni Kenshin Arc's climax. I'm not fond of how Rabo got defeated, but the context of the fight gives it enough emotional weight. For those who were looking for Fate Stay Night Unlimited blade works in said video, I did hold back on mentioning it due to my self-imposed sequel clause.
Hey, do you ever wish sometimes that you can just be like an anime character, or you lived in like an anime world, or you just were like a superhero or a supervillain? Do you ever wish that sometimes? I'm about to let you know something, bro. If you wish that, even as a kid, you're always going to wish that for the rest of your life. I still wish that to this day. I wish I had powers, bro. It would be so dope if everyone had powers, man.
I considered it a sequel to
Let's
Fate
keep going.
Zero. With me shifting
This
to
looks so
series
dope.
clause
This
this
is
time,
Fate.
it's
Yeah.
fully legible for a top spot on this list. Well, the Kuzuki fight looks very inviting, but Unlimited Blade Works wouldn't hit its peak this year, so let's just have it waiting on the back burner for now. Akame ga Kill also aired this year. Apologies to the fans for missing out on my other video, but it's about time for it to make an appearance here. Akame vs Kurome is one of my favourite sibling fights in anime after all. Air's death versus Akame was one epic fight as well, and that's exactly why I feel it
looks
deserves a
so
mention here.
fire. This one right here, these two chicks fighting with the swords, that shit beautiful. And she looked fire.
As a side note, the Naruto final arc rages on through this year, giving us one of its best fights in not just Shippuden,
this
but
fight
the
was
entire
fire!
series.
Yeah!
Obito versus Kakashi.
The
Their fates
hand-to-hand?
finally collide in
Bro.
this climactic battle, brilliantly capping off one of the most intriguing and captivating backstory feuds in the franchise.
Yeah.
That's all because 2014 is when we got the famed Netero versus Meruem battle in Hunter x Hunter. If you were to ask me to pick the best fight from Hunter x Hunter, this would be
2014
it.
had a
Of
lot
course,
of
I'm
great
not just
fights.
reducing the series' appeal to just fights, but in terms of a spectacle itself, I do find this one hard to top. If I look back at the series, some fights, like the famous one with Adult Gon, come close to the level of epicness, but the appeal from those fights come from somewhere else, like the context. If you're looking at just choreography and plain anime brawling along with a dramatic conclusion, Netero versus Meruem is where it's at.
That's a good analysis. I like that. You might be right about that.
2015. As I said in the action anime video, this is the year of One Punch Man, and rightfully so. It steps up to the plate for what I think is the fight of the year, the battle between Saitama and Boros. In terms of the sheer spectacle and the over-the-top appeal, not a lot of fights from this year come to mind. It's also
This fight right here, even though I didn't watch the whole One Punch Man series, I watched like 3 episodes, but you guys know I reacted to this fight. This fight, when I saw it, it looked so dope. It's so over the top. The animation is lit.
the climax
go to,
of
like,
what was the
space
year's
and
most
stuff.
influential anime, so it does deserve the spot in my opinion.
But yeah,
and it's
it
a
looked
shame
dope.
because this is also the year when my
Ooh, look
favorite
at
battle
this.
in the Fate Stay Night UBW happened. Archer versus Shiro is so strong thematically. The way the fight turned out, as well as the masterful placement of Last Stardust, creates one of my favorite moments in 2015. Alas, I put this as runner-up because Fate has an even better looking and bigger fight lined up later. Spoilers, I guess. Dio and Jotaro also had their iconic battle this year. The fight that will send shockwaves and memes through the JoJo universe for years to come.
This was the last season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that I watched right there. After
Beneath
Jotaro
picks,
beat
I do give
Dio.
honorable mentions to Alfonso versus Leon from Garo and Kei's Misaki versus Saruhiko. Both are underrated shows that you might want to check out. 2016. 2016 is a landmark year for anime. After its long, storied run, Naruto finally came to an end and gave us the final battle that we've all been clamoring for. Naruto versus Sasuke, for me, is the only proper way for the series to close its book.
Of course, and that automatically has to win 2016. That fight was so iconic. We will never forget that fight. I will never forget this fight. This fight was so lit to me, bro. After watching Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, seeing this fight and the way it ended, I was just like, Naruto better than Dragon Ball Z.
The two, now in their peak form after more than a decade of history, have their destined showdown. And it ended beautifully too, with a virtual tie where Sasuke eventually admits defeat. It's not about the physical battle, but the emotional one here, guys.
Yes, sir.
My fight for the year goes on in a similar tangent. Bitter rivals and friends turned enemies Gintoki and Takasugi had one hell of a battle in 2016, and that's my pick for this year's best fight. Why? Well, personally, I felt more emotional investment in this fight. Yeah, Gintama's not as popular as Naruto generally speaking, but in terms of how the emotions of the fighters got conveyed in this fight, this is just on a whole nother level. It's also not just the fighters throwing big fireballs or overpowered plot armor bombs at each other. I'm not sure how popular of an opinion that is, but Gintoki vs Takasugi takes the history and big fight feel that Naruto vs Sasuke has and grounds it into a more realistic and artistic form. If we're just looking at animation, however, I'd definitely give the win to Mob dismantling Teru or Mob vs Koyama. Unfortunately, the fight just didn't have the emotional investment or the history for me to declare it the winner over the Gintama fight. Oh yeah, this year also saw My Hero Academia's debut, but frankly, none of the early fights are that impressive, relatively speaking, for now. Closest contender I could think of would be All Might vs Nomu.
All right, bro. First and foremost, great video from VinnyTube. Thank you guys so much for even requesting it. Let me know what you guys thought about the video down in the comments right there. I basically gave my reaction throughout every, throughout every year. So it's nothing too much to talk about. I'm gonna finish the rest of the video tomorrow. Yeah, so far, I definitely want to watch Fate. That's the only one that I'm taking from this list. Maybe that movie. Maybe that movie. He did say on the movie that fight was fire, and he said the movie was good as well. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna finish the video tomorrow. I'll put that on my mama. If I love my mama, I'll do it. If I don't, then I won't. It is what it is. Shout out to the gang. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. No. I'm dropping one more video after this. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna see y'all next time. Shout out to the gang. Peace.
Yeah.